everyone. Thank you for tuning into our podcast, the Married in Business podcast. We're excited today to be talking about selling or buying a business. And we have a lot of good things to say that will be helpful for you if you're an entrepreneur starting a business as well. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of research, and let's jump right in.
If you're looking to, buy or start a business, there's a few things I think to start with. Is one of the first things you got to look at is what lifestyle are you looking for? I think you really talk about that is what lifestyle are you looking to have? If you've got some capital and maybe you've already gone through this and you don't really want to go through the startup of the business again, then you're going to probably look for a business you can purchase and, get financing and purchase, or if you have cash to buy something, that's great and awesome if you do and, purchase something, but you want to find out what you have. So, for example, if you're not a morning person, it's probably not the best idea to look at, open up a coffee shop or a breakfast place, because you're going to have to be up every day at 4 a.m. and do things like that, and vice versa.
If you want your nights and weekends, don't have a restaurant.
Yeah.
Don't operate a movie theater
or a retail store, things like that. Because especially if you're starting out and in the first part of it, you're going to have to be operating and you're going to be in that store. And, we're in trucking. We probably didn't know this right at the beginning, but I mean, it's a 24/7 business. And, over the years, we've been able to put things in place of that business to, take that 24/7 strain off of us
to help out
by hiring people. But if you're starting out or you're buying a business and it doesn't have the infrastructure in place, you want to make sure that what you have in place when you purchase the business, or if you're starting it up, allows you the lifestyle that you're comfortable with and able to do. Because, like I said, if you have trouble being a morning person, you're not going to want to start something that involves you to pee up early mornings. So
if you want a 9-to-5 job, start an office type job, something that's the normal hours for that industry. So look at the hours worked and if that's a good fit for your lifestyle that you want.
Yeah. And then the other thing you got to look at when you're starting or buying a business is, you also have to have the goal in place of how much money are you looking to generate? If you say, hey, I want to make $5 million a year. Well, owning one, say, sandwich shop, a Subway, or, some kind of business like that, that's not going to get it done. Now, maybe some other bigger restaurants, maybe they will, but you got to look at what it's going to take to get to that goal. So you might need more than one business to get there. Maybe it's
sandwich shops.
a couple businesses you got to grow, and then you got to figure out how to grow and scale that business. And is it possible the business you're opening, is it possible to scale where you want to be? The other thing you got to look at with a lifestyle is, how much do you want to travel? Are you looking for something in your home base? We found that, with the way we operate, we really like being in our own backyard. There's opportunities for us to expand our trucking business to other cities, other states, maybe places we'd like, oh, hey, it'd be cool to travel to this area.
But you really want to have an operation there. Yeah, I had this little joke that I say, I may not have all my ducks in a row, but they're all in the same pond.
Yeah,
so exactly. I can keep an eye on all my little ducks right here.
So all those things come into play when you're looking at when you start a business, whether you're starting a business or whether you're buying an existing business. What is it going to take for you? Because you're going to have to be there. You're going to have to be present. There's no such thing, in my opinion, as a fully absentee run business.
Owner. And forget that. If they tell you that, it's not there. You have to be involved.
Yeah, people quit. You got to go take over shifts. Sometimes you got to do the work, that you hire out. And
people go on vacations too. So you still got to run payroll when somebody's gone out.
So you got to have all those things in place when you're looking at it. So make sure that the business you're going into fits the lifestyle you want to live. I think that's one of the first things you do. And then the second P of that is, does the business you're getting into have the income and profit goals that have the income potential and profit potential to reach the financial goals you want to have? Because a lot of times you might get into something and say, some of these little smaller food franchises or the things, there's only so much money they can generate. And you can end up, if you go in there with just buying one, you could just end up with, now you just own a job that you own a job versus, a business that you can be free and run. So where you can grow and expand it. So that's another key thing when you're buying or selling a business. Buying or starting a business.
Let's talk a little bit about the demographics in your area, the market that you want to be in, and what it looks like to be in a certain area.
Well, to be in a certain area, so there's a couple key things too. Say for us, we're in trucking. And one of the things we looked at, we live on the north side of Atlanta, but the majority of truck driving or trucking depots, warehouses, shops, a lot of that stuff is on the south side of Atlanta. And we've been hesitant because we could have bought in land or bought in some place up by us where we are. But there's another key demographic here that's not there is the truck driver demographic for us is not in our area. It's on the south side of Atlanta. And most of our drivers over the years, 95% of our drivers have come from, a certain area of Atlanta where that's the driver pool. So having our trucks parked somewhere else doesn't make sense because now you're basically making it harder for your employee demographic to come up to get the trucks. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Understand you're going to start a business. Say you want to open a tech company or you want to open some kind of, specialized business that maybe you need auto mechanics or you need computer programmers, whatever that is. Consider the base that you're hiring out of. What's that look like? What are the normal demographics in that area? Is the area, if you're starting a white collar kind of design business or something, along that lines, but you're in a heavy blue collar area, you're going to have trouble finding employees. Vice versa, if you're in a very white collar area and say you're opening up a mechanic shop or something, serve that area, it might be harder to find mechanics because of just the amount of workers that are in those areas. So it's very key to find, when you're starting a business, that's sometimes why you'll find people go start a business. You're like, why in the world did they build this big business way out here in the middle of nowhere? Well, there's either a couple things. They've been able to identify that there's an employee base here that I can tap into and hire people and have a steady stream of workers that can come and work for my business and be prosperous for the business here. Or maybe there's a tax incentive. But the main thing is when you're setting up a business too, you got to understand where you're going to get your employees from. And in addition, and also, are your customers there? If you're opening up in a mechanic shop or an automotive repair shop in a heavily urban area, it may not be the best idea because, say in downtown New York City, because everybody takes the subway or everybody takes different types of transportation. So understanding the demographics of both your employees, your potential employees, and your potential customers is very key when you're starting a small business, especially with a smaller one, because when you're starting a smaller business, there's not a lot of room for error, and you can go up belly up when you realize you get up and going with a great idea, but either you can't find workers to work for you, or you can't find people to come in and buy your product. So,
yeah, and let's talk a little bit about starting up capital. When you're starting a business, how are you going to fund it? Are you going to start a business that you need a lot of upfront capital? Mm-hmm. Are you going to build technology, an app? All those things have a lot of expenses. So, are you going to get an SBA loan? Are you going to take out personal loans? When we started our trucking company, we kind of bootstrapped it. We didn't have a lot of capital, so we took out a bunch of personal loans. We used the personal loans to pay for down payments on trucks. So how you manage your money on the front end is also going to be important when you're looking at debt repayment and things like that.
Yeah, another key thing to add to that too is with your business, look at how do you get paid? We're in trucking, so there's short pay cycles. There's a lot of stuff that we did. Then there's ways, a lot of companies now, you might be on a net 30, where you get paid 30 days after you do the service. But your employees are paid weekly. So are you able to float that? Or do you need another service? There's a lot of companies out there that'll buy your receivables. It's called a factoring company. They'll buy your receivables and you can get paid instantly, but you maybe take a 2 to 3% discount on your receivables there. So you got to look at how you get paid and how you're and that's all going to factor into how much cash you need to keep on hand, so that one, you can have enough to keep you can fund your operations until you start getting paid from your customers, and then understand too how are you getting paid, because that also makes a big difference in the financing that you need, because you're going to need working capital. And then you're also going to need other capital now. So, if you're in a business where you're getting paid up front, then maybe you start cash flowing and you can do things there. But say you're in a startup business where you got to develop some technology, develop equipment or a process. You're going to be working for several years. Like, say, all the internet companies everybody hears is worth billions of dollars now. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that takes place before they actually even generate revenue. They got to develop the technology, they got to get it out to market, and then they got to sell it. And then you can start generating revenue off of those things. So when you're looking at starting up that business, what kind of capital do you need? Do you just need working capital to keep things funded because you're going to get paid in 30 days? Or are you developing a product that's going to take years before you can start getting paid for? And then how do you fund that? That's the thing, that part of the business of, getting funded for something you're not actually doing. I've never really worked on that, or we've never really worked on that, but there's ways to get it funded, but you got to think about how you're going to fund the business. And then also how do you get paid for the business you do, because that's going to directly affect the financing that you go get.
We have a funny story. We were talking to our son's elementary school class, and we were talking about having a business partner. And, we said, we're married and we're also our business partners. And then, one kid's like, so who's the boss? And that was an interesting conversation because we have to make decisions together. But then you had talked about finding a good business partner, someone you trust. And this kid raises his hand and he looks kind of scared. He goes, my dad has a business partner. And it wasn't really a question. It was just, you could tell he was thinking about it. So you want to talk about finding a good partner?
Yeah, finding a good partner is really key. We're husband and wife, we're a family owned business, and that has its ups and downs at times. Depending on the day you talk to either Jen and I, will tell you if it's a great idea or a bad idea, or
you can't fire each other.
Yeah, you can't fire your wife, or you can't really fire your husband. You can probably try, but it's not going to go over well. But that's a key thing is when you're going to go into a business, and you might have a buddy, you're like, yeah, let's go start a business together. It'll be awesome. And you got to know too, that partner you work with, hopefully you got some complement. If you can complement each other, if, one partner's doing one part of the business, the other partner's doing another part. I think when we talked to one of our previous podcasts, they talked about, hey, this partner has this lane that they stay in, the other partner stays in that lane. And if they cross, then, you get the other partner's buy-in on how to do that task and how to do those things there. But understand how you work together, and can you continue to make decisions?
Do your skills complement each other? I manage a lot of financing. Kyle does a lot of operations, but those things have to work together.
Yeah, and you got to have a clear outline of responsibilities too when you have partners. If maybe one partner's coming in as a silent partner and they're providing all the capital. Okay, then the other person's doing all the grunt work, all the leg work, everything there. One's providing the money, the other's providing the labor and the expertise. There's all different ways to have a successful partnership. But when you get into one, understand what you're getting into, have clear roles and definitions of what each partner is going to be doing.
Setting expectations.
And then have those expectations and meet those expectations and have a way to resolve those issues when they come up. And you got to be open with your business partner as well. Hey, I'm not understanding why this happens. I don't like how this goes. And have a way to resolve those and talk things out. But you want to make sure that you have the same style with your business partner and have things be very clear with the responsibilities when you enter into a partnership with someone. Say someone buys into your business and provide some capital, and they say, hey, I'm going to do this and that for your business along with providing capital. Well, make sure that those roles are defined. We've seen instances with some different things that, other businesses we've seen that, hey, that line wasn't defined, or maybe someone comes in and then they don't fulfill the roles of the partnership and it causes tension and issues with that business. It can really, help or hinder the success of the business with that partnership.
All right. So we talked a lot about different parts of business and starting a new company. Franchising is another option that people consider. We've actually kind of dabbled in it too. One of the ones we started didn't work out. It wasn't the right time. The business model wasn't sound. I mean, there was some things that we didn't know until we really got into it. So there's a lot of different things with franchising, doing your due diligence, things like that.
Yeah, franchising can provide a way, especially if you don't have that structure, the experience of running a business, but you're ready to do it. franchising can provide you with that structure. You're buying when you're buying into a franchise and a franchise company, you're buying in on that structure. You're buying in on maybe an already established brand and processes and policies they have in place that help generate revenue for the business and provide a successful business model. So when you're looking at those franchises, again, it goes back to deciding the lifestyle you want to live and, how you want to, if you want to get up every morning at 4 a.m. and go to work, or if you want something that's a little more home-based or everything, you got to find a franchise that does business the way you want to do business as well. And then when you're getting into the nitty-gritty of the finance of the franchise agreement, you're going to find, do they have that structure? Do they have a support system for you to make you successful? Ultimately, the one that we went with, we kind of got down the road and we realized that it wasn't going to be something that we would be able to just, rely on that franchise either. It was going to be a lot more work on our end developing that business. And we ultimately decided to move away from that. And that's okay when you're looking at that. Not everything's going to be a yes, but you got to make sure that business is going to not only be the right fit for you, but then also the behind the scenes stuff that the franchise is supposed to provide to a business owner, that's in place and that you're actually going to get that support. And because otherwise you're just paying money for a name and a brand, but you're in the background doing all the processes and things like that maybe the brand should be providing for you. So those are some key things to look at with a franchise.
One thing for franchises is make sure you really look at the franchise disclosure documents, the FDD. There's a lot of information in there. It talks about performance and the other franchises, the locations, things like that. So there's a lot of things in those documents that you should really look at. Don't just breeze over, have a second person look at it too. Have an attorney look at it, because that's
talk to the franchisees over.
Talk to the people that are other franchisees, and they can give you a backstory on if it's something they would recommend or they would do again. Because once you're in those contracts, especially if you sign a lease agreement for a space, they will hold you to it. You try to back out after you sign a lease, forget it. They might make you file bankruptcy to try to get out.
Yeah. So I think we did an episode on financing already, but if you're looking to start a business, franchising is, it can be the right fit for you, especially if you're looking for that structure. You don't really know what to go through and start a business. That can be the right fit, but make sure you're checking all of the boxes of the lifestyle you want to live, the support you're going to be getting, because when you're with a franchise, you're paying fees to that parent company. And in exchange, you're getting, advertising, rights to the brand, their processes. Like when you buy a McDonald's or you operate a McDonald's, you're getting the processes to make those burgers and the real estate and everything else that comes with that. The sauces, the point of sale systems, all that stuff comes with the franchise. So, you're paying for that. So you want to make sure that what you're paying for is a really good system. Otherwise, you're just, you're not going to be you're going to be paying for something that you're not receiving the full benefit from.
Yeah. In franchising, they should have a training period where somebody comes, they help you open the store, they teach you the ins and outs. So finding the right franchise with the right support is really important. Make sure they're going to support you as a franchisee and that you're going to have all the tools to be successful. They'll probably have their own type of payment processing system, their type of, speaking about a store, the point of sale device. So they're going to have all those things. So make sure you get as much information as you can. Talk to those other franchisee owners before you sign on the dotted line. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast on starting and buying and becoming an entrepreneur. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Again, if you're looking at buying a business, look at those key factors: the lifestyle you want to live, the income you want to generate, and then having all the processes in place with your partner and just setting clear expectations. And that's a big thing to lay the foundation for success going forward.
Well, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, we have a lot of other videos you can check out as well. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.